You got that right, Cheryl.
Perfect, perfect. Sahan is going to speak to us today about customer self-service solutions in the Microsoft stack. And if you're ready, Sahan, I'd like to hand over to you so that you can begin your session.
Absolutely. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you, Raz. So just before we get started, let's confirm if everybody can see my screen. So let me go ahead and share my screen. 2 seconds. Go. All right. Can everybody confirm that they can see my screen?
I can see it. Thank you.
Yes, we can. Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Cheryl. Thank you, Raz, for inviting me to the to this event. So I'm super pumped to be here, and I was even more excited when I figured out that I'll be the first speaker. So I'll be launching this event. So thank you, Raz. Thank you for the team that's behind organizing these events. As always, you guys have done a fantastic job getting these teams organized. So on behalf of the community and the speakers, thank you for organizing this. So you can see at the for those who don't know me, you can see at the bottom left-hand corner that is a picture of me. So don't get don't panic. It's the same guy. I think this is a picture of me pre-COVID. So during the COVID lockdown, this is what has happened to me. I've lost my hair. So the dude that was before COVID has hair, and right now I don't have hair. So that's pretty much the same guy. It's okay. So bit about myself. Next slide. My name is Sahan, and I'll leave your creative interpretations around pronouncing my Sri Lankan long name. So, Cheryl, you were spot on in terms of getting the pronunciation. So, yeah, my name is Sahan, and I'm a business applications MVP. I work for PwC Australia, and I've been in the Dynamics game for the last 14 years. So, I've been working with Dynamics since 2007, 2008, started with CRM 3.0. And boy, I have been in so many transformations in the Dynamics journey. And right now, where we are is such an exciting time. There are so many technologies when it comes to Dynamics. You're not just talking about Dynamics as a product. You're talking about Azure. You're talking about Power Platform. You're talking about Microsoft 365. Everything, all the entire Microsoft stack coming together to create an end-to-end beautiful solution. So exciting times right now. Besides my hobbies and my career, I'm a father to two beautiful boys and a husband to a beautiful wife. I usually write my tech articles at techtricks365.com. So if you follow me on either on my blog or on Twitter or on LinkedIn, you can come across some of my tech articles. And I will, at the end, put a QR code to my LinkedIn page. So anybody who wants to connect can connect with me as well. Now, the last one is a bit of a confession. Besides all of this, I'm also a gadget freak. I love new technology. I love gadgets. I mean, whether it's going to be an Oculus VR headset or a HoloLens or a new iPhone, whatever new technology that comes out. And right now, I got my eyes on these robotic Boston Dynamics dogs, the robotic dogs. I mean, I'm quite interesting about technology. I'm a big enthusiast of technology, and I really want to see how technology can be used to make human lives better. And this is what drives me from a dynamics point of view as well. My interest is how can we use tools to empower businesses to operate better. And this is sort of the theme that I'm going to use for my presentation today as well. So my presentation today is going to look at the Microsoft stack at the broader spectrum and see, because if you look at customer service is such a broad topic. Whether you are a small boutique business that's running around the corner to a enterprise grade big business, customer service is quite key because you need to make sure you do the best thing for your customers, keep your customers happy, because word of mouth is the most important thing. So We are going to look at a few scenarios. So I'm going to look at a scenario from a small business to a medium-sized business to a large organization. How can you use tools from the Microsoft stack to serve better customer service? So let's jump in. Definition time. What is customer service? Customer service is the ability of knowledgeable and capable and enthusiastic employees to deliver products and services to their internal and external customers in a manner that satisfies identified needs and ultimately result in positive word of mouth publicity and return business. So in this phrase, I like to emphasize a couple of words. One is enthusiastic employees. Second is internal and external customers. Enthusiastic employees. If you look at most of the organizations, whether it's going to be a small business or a large organization, the individual or the customer service team are often bombarded with questions and inquiries that come from their customers. They deal with whether it's going to be positive or negative commentary from their customers, and they deal with a lot of stuff. And often you will see the customer service departments in most organizations are under the pump, and it might be even situations that they're stressed out as well, due to the large amount of work they have to do, the tasks they have to do. On top of that, the negativity that they have to deal with from the customers as well. So as an organization, to serve better customer service, we have to make sure that the employees, the customer service employees, are geared with the right set of tools so they can serve their customers better. The customer service employees, if you look at any organization, right, most of the customer service tasks are very monotonous. They're very repeatable. It's pretty much the same thing, right? So there'll be often questions that are coming from customers asking how to do certain things. There'll be inquiries around how to do these things. There'll be complaints that are coming across from employees. So that in a typical customer service department, there can be heaps of emails, there can be heaps of printing of documents, because with all this information that comes along, there's a set of workflows or approvals that they need to orchestrate as well. So as a customer service employee, they shouldn't be spending time replying to emails. They shouldn't be spending time printing documents and following up things. Their time should be better used to make decisions on behalf of their customers to provide better customer service. That means if you look at some of these repetitive tasks can be automated. You can use a knowledge base repository, you can use a chatbot, you can use an automated workflow, you can use a customer service portal, enable customers to do a lot of self-service activity. So the amount of the workload the customer service department has is reduced. The second phrase here is internal and external customers. Quite often when we talk about customer service, we automatically think about customers that are external to our company, customers who buy our products and services. But there is an element of internal customer service as well. Take an example of internal customer. There are employees. Employees have laptops. Their laptops break, their desktops break, their computers break. When it breaks, they should be able to go to the IT department, get their issues fixed so they can carry out their tasks. The experience, usually what happens is in a mid-sized organization, you will be looking at if the laptop breaks, you go to the IT support guy who is bombarded with other projects and other stuff that are going on, and he will take your laptop. You don't know what happens until a couple of days, and then only you'll get to know. If you look at the experience, it's quite tedious, right? So as an employee, you should be able to, from the point you have the issue to the point you get a resolution, the experience should be seamless. There should be transparency between the IT department and the employee to see, right, I have given my laptop, what's happening with it, what is the case update, has it been picked up, is it being looked at? All that information has to be transparent to the employee so he knows. If you look at booking of a meeting room, requesting for stationery, requesting for petty cash, which requires approvals, having leave requests coming through. So all of these things are customer service that is related to the internal employees, because you have to make sure the employees are happy as well, because the employees are the core engine of your organization. You have to make sure that their needs are satisfied as well. They don't have they don't have to worry about other things, and they just operate and they look at the things that they want to do. And if you look at from an external customer point of view, customers can have complaints regarding whatever the service they have got, complaints regarding or inquiries regarding products and services, follow-ups on order, and I've got a really good business case on that as well. So these kind of things, can be automated using the technology toolset. So that is the sort of the basis for my session today. So let's look at the first scenario. Now, the first scenario is very much is around a small size business. We got Good Looks, which is an upcoming barbershop in the Bay Area, and due to the higher demand, the owner, Jim Good Looks, you can see the dude over here. So he has a beard and a tattoo and a pair of scissors with him. He's finding it hard to keep track of the customer appointments. So Jim is looking for a booking system that can be embedded either to his website or to his Facebook page, which will give the customers the ability to look for times, pick up the hairstylist you want, and make appointments. So what can we use? I mean, this is a small business, right? They don't have much revenue. They don't have the money to invest on a massive enterprise system. So what do they have? What can be used for a small business? If you look at the Microsoft 365 subscriptions, most of the Microsoft 365 subscription has this app called Microsoft Bookings. Now, using Microsoft Bookings, you can actually define your business hours. You can define your employees, the times the employees work, what are the services that you offer, and you can create a complete booking experience that can be embedded into your website or your Facebook page, from where your customers can see what are the available times and make their appointments. And when they make their appointments, there'll be emails that are going on to the customers, and confirmation and the rescheduling and everything. So this is an application that is a part of your Microsoft 365 subscription. Most businesses don't know about it. So let's have a look at Microsoft Bookings and see how it can be used. Okay, so let me go in. There we go. So here we are on Microsoft Booking. So when you go to your Microsoft 365, you will see the app Microsoft Bookings over here. So once you get to Bookings, you can, first of all, you can see your calendar, and you can go and define your staff. So you can see that I have defined some of my staff members over here. So if I click on David, I can see this is the name of David, and I can put his phone number as well over here. And over here, what I've done is David works on business hours. So the standard business hours is Monday to Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So David works on those hours. If David is a part-time employee or somebody who doesn't come all 5 days, you can take this off, and you can actually change the different times that David is available on, right? And you can define as many as employees that you want. I'll just discard that over here. And if you go to the services side of things, now I have the ability to define the services that I offer. Because this is a hair salon, so I've given some basic, hair coloring, haircuts and men's versus women's haircuts and all of that. And I can actually give a duration for those services as well. So if you look at the basic coloring, I've said the default location is the shop address. It takes 2 hours to do that. And who are the employees who can do that? Because when it comes to the various services that you have, not all employees can do that. It's only a few employees can do that. Some employees may be doing something else. So you have the ability to define the employees that can provide this service, right? And if I go to the business information side of things, here I can define my business settings. So I have my business name over here, my business hours defined over here, and the currency that I work on, and so forth. And also what happens is, as my customers log in and my customers provide their information and make their bookings, the customer record is created as well over here. So I can see the customers, I can search for the customers, look at their contact details, look at their email addresses, and so forth. So this is the setup of the bookings page. So if I go into the actual page, what the customers would see, when the customers go in, so this page can be, this link can be either embedded on the website of the organization, or take it to Facebook and put it as a button on Facebook as well. So what they do is, when they click on that button or the link, they will come to this page over here, which basically lists all the services that this particular barbershop offers. So I'm just going to select haircut, long hair, and I have the ability to say I'm not fussed about who's going to do it. So anybody can do it. I just conscious about the time that I need to do it. So I need it on 12:30 on the 27th of September. Now, what this is going to do is the system's going to automatically pick up the availability of the employees and we'll look at it and going to pick a random staff member based on the services or the skills they have. If not, I have the ability to go ahead and pick the employee that I want to do it as well. So at the moment, for long haircuts, only Alicia can do it. So that is why Alicia is the only one that is appearing. But instead, if I go and select basic coloring, you can see there are 3 employees coming down, because there are 3 employees who can provide these services. So I'm just going to go here. Actually, I will select basic hair color. Go in here and put 1 p.m. And let me just go ahead and put my details over here. And I can put a note if I want, and I just go ahead and say book. Now, what happens at the back end is, when I make the booking, there's an email that is sent to me as the business owner, saying you got a booking at this time, but also there's an email that is being sent to the customer as well. So the customer gets an email, and when they click on that email, they'll be taken on to this page. So if they want to reschedule the appointment, so you can see I just got received the email. So if they want to reschedule, if they want to cancel, if they want to make a new booking, they can do all of that right within here. The other thing is, every employee will get a mobile app, and on the mobile app, they can see what bookings they have as well. So let me just go ahead and bring in my phone to the picture. So there you go. I'm going into Microsoft Bookings, and I have logged in as David So. So if I go to David So's mobile app, I can see all the appointments that I have, and I'm looking at on the 27th of September, and there you go. I've got my new appointment just came up as well. So imagine, this is a solution that a small business can use straight away out of the box. All they have to do is get their services in, get their people in, and there is a mobile app, there is a web app that's ready to use. So imagine the power that this is bringing to the table. I mean, take this app off this equation and imagine how much manual work they have to do. They have to pick up the phone every time a customer calls. They have to pick up the phone. They have to write down in a book, on this time the customer is coming. And sometimes if you forget to write it, it's another mess. And if the customer changes, you have to go back, open the book, look at the book, change it, cross it. All that manual work is just disappeared. Everything is handled through this one app, right? And the beauty about this is it's already there. It's already there from a Microsoft 365 point of view. It's just a matter of the businesses using them. So let me just disconnect from here and go back to my presentation. So if you look at small businesses, they can use tools like this. And if you look at the Microsoft 365 subscriptions, you are automatically entitled to tools like SharePoint. You are automatically entitled to tools like Teams. You are entitled to tools like the to-do list, Exchange, all of those rich tools that you can simply use to improve your services at your business, right? So let's look at scenario 2. Scenario 2 is about someone called Paul Murdoch. He works for ABC Partners. Paul one day realizes that his emails are not being delivered from his Outlook account. So he needs to basically go through a few diagnostic things and notify the service desk about his issue. And while the service desk receives and actions the item, Paul would like to have an update about what's happening. What's the resolution? When can I get it? What is the ETA on this, right? So to address this particular issue, I'm going to use the Power Apps portal, the Power Virtual Agents, and Microsoft Power Automate to automate a few things. So let's jump into that and have a look at how I have solved this one. So here you go. I'm going to go into my scenario 2. So here we are at the Contoso portal that I have created. So if I go in here, you can see I'm actually logged in as Sahan. So I'm just going to sign out for now. And you can see at the bottom, I have a chat window. So I can click on that and I can say, hi. What happened? Give me 2 seconds. I think I got just signed out. Okay, that's cool. So I'm just going to say hi, and a chat bot is going to come up and say, hi there, I'm Boris. He's a virtual agent and can support with any of the IT issues that I have. So what is the issue that I have? So I'm going to say my email is not working. So the moment it says that, it actually identifies the intent and says, seems like you have a issue with your work computer. Is that correct? And I'm going to say yes. And from there, can you start by providing your email address? So let me just got my email addresses over here because I don't want to type it. So let's go ahead and I'm going to give my email address, which is the admin account in this case. And what it's going to do is it's going to look me up, and notice how it came back and said, can you please confirm if you are Sahan? So your computer is broken, but you're using someone else's computer now to go and lodge this support ticket. So notice how it was able to, based on your email address that you provided, it was able to identify you, and now it's verifying it's that person. So I'm going to say yes to that. When I do that, it's asking what sort of issue you have. The emails are not working. And now it's kind of going through a few diagnostic steps as well. It says, can you confirm you are connected to the internet? And I'm going to say, no, I'm not connected to the internet. And then, is the network cable connected to the internet? In most cases, what happens is, when you look at, it might be a simple problem, right? You haven't connected the cable to the PC. So just asking that questions. And if I say yes, and now it's going to make a decision. Okay, seems like you have a faulty network cable. Let us first try replacing the network cable for you. So it's basically say, it seems like you're having an issue. We are going to create a support ticket to get someone to send you a network cable. So here's the support ticket that we have created, and this is your case number. And what happens in the backend is if I go to my email, I can see an automatic email has come through to me saying we have created a support ticket, and I have the case reference number as well. So if I go here, now it says basically, is there anything I can help with? I will say no, and that's it, and we close the session. So if I log into the portal as well, if I give my details and log in, now as an employee, if I go to the dashboard, I can actually see what are the cases that are there, right? Just gonna click on the dashboard and wait for that to come up. Thinking about it. Give it a few seconds. So as an employee, what I can now do is I also get an email as well, but I can also log into the portal, have a look at what are the cases that are there and what's happening with it. So if I go in here, I can see all the cases that I've created, and this is the case we just created. So from here, I can click on the case record, go into it, have a look at what's happening, and reply to the IT department as necessary. So if we look at under the hood, what I have done is I have created this Power Virtual Agent. So what the Power Virtual Agent is going to do is it's going to ask all of these questions. And then remember how when I provided the email address, it was able to look up my record from Microsoft 365. And what I have done here is I have used a Power Automate, which is over here, which is the get username Power Automate. If I go into edit, you can see it's picking up the details that I provided, and it's basically initialize a variable with the given name, and it is actually going to look up on Microsoft 365 for my email address, and from there it's going to extract the name of mine, and then it feeds back to Power Virtual Agent, and from there it basically says, can you please confirm if you are this particular person? And then if you scroll down a bit further, you can see there's a second Power Automate workflow that I have created to go and create the case. So notice I already have the email address of this person, and I also know the issue type as well. So I have created another Power Automate workflow to go and create the case in Dynamics 365 customer service. So what this does is it basically picks up, initiates the variables, looks up in the context if this particular context is existing, and then it is going to create a case in Dynamics 365, and it's going to create it with the respective issue type, and also assign it to the right contact as well. This is that because I associated over here, that is why I was able to see when I logged into the portal as myself, I was able to see the customer service case that was created for me. And then finally, what I'm doing is I'm picking it up and I'm sending an email back to the employee who created the issue, saying, hey, and I'm going to personally address him and give the case title and the case number, and send that information back to the employee. So if you look at this solution over here, that is pretty seamless as well. I mean, if you look at it, the employee was able to, first of all, talk to somebody, is a virtual agent, list down his issue, see what are the diagnostic steps that they need to go through. And in the interim, while the IT department gets available, they were able to give them a temporary solution to see if this fixes it. So imagine the time that was reduced as a part of this automation process, right? So if you go to the next scenario, Hi-Fi Guys is an electronic retail shop. They store a range of electronic items like TVs, phones, video games, And hi-fi guys get very busy during Christmas and other festival times, especially if there are any video games, phones, or laptops released in the market as well. And there'll be a high volume of orders that's been processed. And due to the large demand, it takes time for them to fulfill orders. And this is the season time, so many orders going on. So it can take 1 to 3 business days. And on average, there's around 3,500 emails received per day from customers requesting for a status update on their orders. Now, this number is actually a real number. I mean, a few years ago, I was working for a large electronics retailer in Australia, and they said during Christmas time, we know during Christmas time is when either a new Xbox or a PlayStation or a new video game is released, and parents want to buy these video games for their kids, whether they want to buy an iPhone or whatever. There are so many orders going on, and literally a day there are 3,000 emails that are coming to the customer service department asking where's my order, right? So this particular retail company has to hire contractors during Christmas to their customer service department to handle this. Now, if you really look at this, the order is stored in a system. The information about the order is stored in a system. Somebody has to read the email, go to that system, look at the status of the order, and reply back to them, right? Look at that process. The information is already there. It's because it's not connected, because it's not digitized. There's a whole heap of manual work and a whole heap of labor that is required to handle this. So how can we automate it? So how can we get this going? I mean, there are multiple ways you can look at it. You can embed a chatbot or what have you. But let's say, for example, you need to give a solution that is with minimum cost. You have to get it up and running in the least amount of time. What can you do? So this is where I have actually taken Dynamics 365 as the core system where the sales orders are saved. But it can be any data repository. It can be a non-dynamic system as well. And I am using a service from Azure called Luis. And Luis is a language understanding AI service, which has the ability to identify intents but also extract information that we require as well. So using Luis, what I'm doing is I'm using Power Automate. So using Power Automate, I'm going to monitor an Exchange inbox. And once the email comes through the Exchange inbox, I'm going to take that email, I'm going to pass it on to Luis. And from the Luis engine, I'm going to identify, okay, what's the intent? Is this a sales order related question? If so, what's the sales order number, right? Now, I have used the sales order number as a scenario over here, but you can take this to the next level. You can actually use things like, okay, the email address and use that information to search for the respective sales orders as well. But for this example, I have made it simple. So I'm assuming the customer is sending the sales order number. So I'm going to use that information, extract the sales order for using Luis, and using Teams, I'm going to go to Dynamics 365, query, look at the sales order status, and then send the email automatically back to the customer. So let's have a look at that. So let me close my scenario 2. So let's go into scenario 3. Okay, so for this, I need a sales order number as well. So let me just copy that through. So I'm a customer, and I am going to send an email to orders, and I'm going to give a subject called "Where is my order?" And I'm going to say, "Hi, do excuse me for my spellings. I'm very bad at that. Purchased an Xbox last week. I need it by the second week of next month. Can you please let me know What is the status of my order? Order number is, and I'm going to give order number over here. And then I'm going to say regards. Oh, I'm so bad at my spellings. Okay, there you go. And I'm going to send this off. Now, what's going to happen is behind the scenes, there's a Microsoft Power Automate that monitors that inbox call orders. It is going to pick it up. It is going to pass that information into Luis, extract the information, extract the order number, go to Dynamics 365, look up the order number in Dynamics 365, and send a reply back to me with some information as well. So if you give it a couple of seconds, there you go. It just went through, processed, and it came back and said, "Dear customer, please note that this is successfully being processed, that it's on the way, and your tracking number for this is this." So if you do have any questions, call this number. Now, look at the time it took, right? I just sent it through. System automatically looked it up, and I got an instant reply saying, "Where is it?" And I've got the tracking number details as well. So let's have a look under the hood and see what I have done. So first of all, let's go to Lewis. Have a look at what I have done in Lewis. So if you go into Lewis, you can see, and you can go into Lewis from lewis.ai. That, and I have created an application called email identification. And in here, I have intents that I have created. So there can be multiple intents, but in here I have only one intent, which is the order inquiry. And you can see I have given some different ways on how people can ask for their order. So one can be, my order is this, where is my order? The order reference is this. So this is not the best trained AI model over here. I have just done a few key phrases just for the demo purposes. But you can see over here, there's also an underline, basically that underlines and shows, okay, this is the order number. So what it's doing is, I have an entity that I have defined over here that says order number. And I have basically say, if there is anything in this format, which has ORD dash, a 5-character five characters from 0 to 9, followed by another dash, and a 6 characters with either lowercase a to z or uppercase a to z, as well as numbers, so alphanumeric, right? If you find anything in this format, that's an order number. So I have basically given that instruction to it. So when I give all these phrases over here, and when I go into here and train it, it basically goes and trains itself to identify the order. So if you look at the order number over here, it has ORD. The first part of it is numeric, and the second part of this, that is alphanumeric, right? So that's how I have created my AI model. So if I want to go and test it, I can actually test it over here as well. Just go and type is my order and give the number. There you go. And if you inspect, you can see actually it has given a scoring. So it basically says, okay, it's 0.8.4. That means it's intent where there are people asking about the order, and it has basically gone and extracted the order number as well. So now what I have done is, if I go back to Microsoft Teams, sorry, not Microsoft Teams, Microsoft Power Automate, here I have created a Power Automate that basically goes and monitors the inbox, right? And once the email is received, because the email is on HTML format, what it has to do is it first of all needs to convert that HTML into text. So I'm defining a few variables over here, one to get the email, one to get the email body. So here I'm using the HTML to text functionality within Power Automate to convert whatever I have received from the email into this variable over here. And from there, I've got another variable defined to store the order number. And then over here, I have the Lewis step around get prediction. So what I'm going to do is from here, I'm going to select the app that I created on Lewis, which is the email identification app. And from there, I am passing the variable that I stored over here, which is the email body, to Lewis. And then what's going to happen is Lewis is going to go through and it's going to process it, it's going to identify, and then it is going to return the order number. So what I'm doing over here is I've got the variable over here for the order number, and whatever Lewis returns, I'm going to store the order number in this variable. And from there, I'm going to go into Dataverse, which is the Dynamics 365 database. From there, I'm going to search for the respective order number and then get the order record. From where I'm going to check if the order status is in this particular format, because the order I'm using two templates over here. So one is if the tracking number is populated, then if the order is being processed and it's been shipped, um, then it's one email template. If it is not shipped, it's a different email template. So if the order status in this particular status, which is order is posted, it'll go and say, dear customer, we have successfully processed your order, and it gives a tracking number. If not, it'll say, please note the is still being processed, and we will keep you up to date as the order progresses, and give a phone number. So if you look at this, you can see how I was able to connect, how I was able to use two systems and reduce that workload for the customer service department. I mean, still the customer service department will get questions, we will get phone calls, but I was able to cut that load at least from a certain percentage, because when people get these sort of automatic emails, if it's already shipped, they already know that information, and they don't need to call that customer service department. They just can go to that particular shipping company, look at the shipping details and track that and see when it is coming through. So if I go back here, so you can see from a technology point of view, I have taken 3 business cases and I have looked at 3 different ways to solve customer service queries. Now, there are many other tools that we can use from the Microsoft stack. You can use SLAs. Using SLAs, you can make sure you enforce the internal employees to ensure the customer service representatives that they resolve and they respond to the customer service queries as they come through. You can use knowledge base articles. You can create knowledge base repositories right within Dynamics 365, expose those knowledge base articles to Power Apps portal, through which people can have a look at them, read them, and self-service whatever the questions they have. You can digitize. Now, if you look at most of the government agencies, the government agencies, most of the services that they want is around filling an application, submitting that application to a government department, and they have to process it. And if you look at most of the government departments, their applications are still in a PDF format. They are on a website, right, it is using a digital platform, but they are in a PDF format, which means somebody has to download it, somebody has to fill it in, somebody has to email it. Although it's in a digital platform, the whole component is still manual, right? You can digitize those forms. You can get those PDF forms into the Power Apps portal. From the Power Apps portal, once they submit it, now because it's on a digital format, it comes in as a case. Now you can execute that entire workflow that is associated with each of those business processes, right? You can send knowledge base articles back to those employees as well, to those customers as well, automatically. So there are many technologies that you can use from Microsoft Stack, and we just scratched the surface today looking into a few of those. So customer service shouldn't be just a department, it's the entire organization, right? And Microsoft offers so many tools. You got Power Apps, you got Power Automate, you got Power Virtual Agents, Azure, Microsoft 365, Power BI, Dynamics, all of these tools are given by Microsoft that can truly improve the customer service capability of an organization. And Microsoft Teams being at the center of the hub. So actually, I didn't actually do much demoing, or actually I didn't do any demoing around the Teams capability, because all of these information, because you can plug Dynamics into Microsoft Teams, you can embed Power Apps into Microsoft Teams, you can have Power Automate. So say, for example, you can have a Teams group created where every time a case created for the IT department, there's a Power Automate that basically goes and notifies in Microsoft Teams itself that straight away there's an order being created, there's a inquiry being created. There can be a separate workflow that goes and publishes notifications to the sales team in Microsoft Teams, notifying there are sales orders being created. So likewise, there are so many tools that we can use from the broader Microsoft stack to enable better customer service. So I think we got 10 minutes more. I have spoken, I think, a lot. So I would now like to open it to the audience to see if there are any questions.
Hi, Sahan. We do have a few questions in the chat, actually. I'll just run through them if that's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
So firstly, Abdul was asking, which calendar will the bookings fall into? Is there a view of the calendar in D365 CE, or is this a separate solution, maybe self-contained with no access from other Office 365 apps?
For now, it is the information is not going to Dataverse. No, it doesn't even go to Dynamics 365. It is self-containing at the moment. So which we don't have access. However, there's an API. Through the API, we can access some information as well. So I'm happy to post some of the docs articles around that. But also there's I mean, at the moment there's no Power Automate connectors as well. So I think there's a few requests in the roadmap to get some of this capability in, and they have been putting some really good features lately, so good things will come in the future. But for now, it is self-contained.
That's lovely. Thank you, Sahan. The next question was from Imad, who asked, can the customer see and only book available slots?
Yes. So this is a question I was thinking myself this morning when I was setting this up. Yes, they can only book available slots in Microsoft Booking. So if there is a use case around double booking, now say, for example, if you look at a doctor, right, a general practitioner, you want to have this available for one of them, because usually with a general practitioner, when patients are coming in, you would be booking 2 or 3 patients at the same slot. And if you want to enable double booking, that's not possible at this moment. However, I hope that'll be something that they will offer in the future as well, because I for sure I'm going to go and submit this as a feature for the future.
Great. Okay. The next question, actually, there were a couple of questions then around the booking app. Chintan asked, which app should an employee install to see bookings? Is this a custom app, or is it a built-in Microsoft app? And then Abdul went on to say, there does appear to be a booking app in the Play Store. Is that the app that you were referring to?
Absolutely. There is a app called Bookings, Microsoft Bookings on the App Store. So I used Apple, and I think with both Android as well. You have an app called Bookings, and you can install that, and that's the app you should use.
Okay, awesome, thank you. And then I think there's just a bit of a clarification question from Chintan around Lewis, and maybe what connection that has to Power Virtual Agents. Is, whether, I'll let you explain that one.
Yeah. So let me see the question. I cannot see the question, but that's fine. So the question is basically,
the question was, is Lewis a Power Virtual Agent? So I think that maybe needs a little bit of clarification. Yeah.
Absolutely. So The engine that sits behind Power Virtual Agent is Lewis, right? So um, Power Virtual Agent use features of Lewis. That's the engine, right? Because with Power Virtual Agent also you can create entities, you can identify the intents and all of that, and that is very similar functionality over here. So why didn't I use Power Virtual Agents? Because Power Virtual Agents is from a chat format. What I wanted to do here was I wanted to get the contents of the email and pass that to an engine as well. So that's why I went to the heart of the engine and used that Azure service. So I got much more flexibility to do my work.
That's lovely, thank you. And I think that answers actually Abdul's question around whether Lewis was a tool that could be consumed from within the Power Platform, right? So
Absolutely, absolutely. So there are few connectors from Power Automate as well. So you can create your Lewis as a service either by going to lewis.ai, or you can go directly into Azure and you can create it there as well. And once you do it, you can actually use Power Automate as the in between layer between either Power Apps or any other app that's there, where it can consume that data and pass it on to Lewis and do the data exchange.
that's a great explanation. Thank you, Sam. Thank you. The next question is from TX, who has asked a question about Microsoft Forms. So TX has asked whether it's possible to embed a Microsoft form into an Outlook email body.
Good question. I haven't actually tried that, but look, I can. I cannot give an answer. I mean, the technical side of me that says yes, it should be possible, but without trying, I don't want to give an answer around Microsoft Forms. But however, I did a session a couple of months ago around customer voice. So customer voice is a surveying tool that's provided by Dynamics, which actually uses the Microsoft Forms technology to create surveys that you want. So if you want to embed a survey into an email, you can actually do that using Microsoft Customer Voice. You can take a survey link, embed that into an email through Power Automate. You can send it to the customer. And the beauty of actually using Customer Voice is, unlike forms, your data is stored within Dataverse, right? So if you use forms, the data forms uses it's somewhere else. But if you use Customer Voice, the data is stored within Dynamics 365 or Dataverse itself. So you can access that data from Dynamics 365.
Yeah,
So
that's a really good
yeah,
point there, actually. Really, really good point.
yeah,
We've got another question then. You've got lots of questions.
yeah. That's fine.
We have another question then about whether the bookings get synced with Exchange.
Bookings, will it get synced with Exchange? No, at this stage, no. However, you have the ability to download an ICS file, so but it's not synced with Exchange for now. That is why in the Bookings app you have the separate calendar that you can see, but it's not syncing with your Exchange.
Okay. I think my screen has frozen slightly there. We do
Okay.
have oh, that's okay. I was just checking that I was still connected.
Okay.
We have another question then about forms actually, and the
Mhm.
question is: can we embed a Microsoft form into an approval in Power Automate?
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. So let's say, for example, you are creating a Power Automate flow where there are, let's say, for example, you are sending an approval to a certain manager within your organization. And as a part of that approval, you want to embed a survey link. Absolutely, you can do that.
Awesome. Awesome. We have a question. Yeah, that's okay. We have another question about the app, but we've already covered that one.
Mhm.
And then obviously we have another question about recordings of the session. And as Raz advised us earlier, the sessions may be recorded, and if they are recorded, then the recordings will be published at the end of the year, actually, because we like to encourage as many people as possible to come along and participate in these events to make it more interactive for all of the participants and actually for the presenters. Okay, so yes, the recordings may be made available at some point later on in the year. I just wanted to say also, Sahan, you had some great comments in the chat, about how interesting and how great your presentation is. So thanks very much for that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for inviting me, Raz, and the team. And thank you guys for asking those questions as well. And that is the important thing, right? If you compare this to looking at a recording, by coming into a session like this, you can ask all of these questions. And I love to see the interaction that goes on between you guys as well as the interaction that happens with me as well. So it's great for you guys to have you guys here. And thank you for the session. Lastly, Cheryl, do you have anything else, or can I just show one more slide? So,
yeah, you can.
lastly,
I'd just like to say, from me personally, I absolutely loved that session. Thank you very much. And I particularly like your focus on like usability and user experience, right? Because that's always so important. So yeah, that was awesome. Thank you, Sahan.
absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you for the feedback, and congratulations and welcome to the MVP family. I look forward to doing some cool stuff in the future.
Thank you.
All right. So, lastly, I've got my QR code over here. So, you guys want to connect with me? That's the QR code for my LinkedIn. So, do connect. If you have any questions in the future, ask me, and I'm happy to answer them. Follow me on my blog article and my blog site and my Twitter. And with on that note, I would like to wrap up my session with 3 minutes to go. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you. Raz and Cheryl and the team, but also thank you for all the guys who joined here. It's been an amazing 1 hour. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sahan. Thank you, Cheryl. Sahan, can you remember to share your contact details in the chat, please? In the event chat?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Awesome. So that's great. That was Sahan. For those who have not seen Sahan, now Cheryl, I believe Nicholas is online. Can you see Nicholas? Because I can't seem to see him.
Yes, hold on. I'll just